Very nice. Hello, Dyonne, the healer from Holland.
Hello, Miriam, my philosopher friend from Sweden. I hope you're doing well, and I'm so glad you make it here today because I really am very curious. For me, working with the subtle body in relation to personal development is a day-to-day thing, and I'm really wondering and curious about how you, from a philosopher's point of view, look at the subtle body, especially the chakras. So, so at first hand, what comes up when I mention this?
Yeah, I love this. I love this question, and I have this. I have I love watching Brit crime from the early 2000s, and sometimes it comes up something like with hippies and strange people doing yoga and are vegetarian and crazy things like that. And sometimes it also comes up something with chakras. And when I look at these TV series, what I immediately feel is that, gosh, how mainstream this is now, and how everyone is talking about energies and chakras and things like that. So what I know about chakras is that they are energy centers, like vortexes, that are located in and outside of the body, like in this way that the person or the soul or the entire being is not just inside of this body vessel, but is also slightly outside, like we talked about. And these vortex energy centers are located in roughly 7 spots that sort of roughly correspond to on top of your head, and here and other, and further down till like the base of the spine is the first chakra. So I know that. I mean, this is what I have read. And then as a philosopher, I always want to approach new systems of thought and new theories like this with a kind of suspension of disbelief, and that is a kind of you could call it a tool for mental organization, suspension of disbelief. And it's the kind of tool for mental organization that you use when you are watching like a sci-fi movie or a cartoon or something. So you can allow the rules of the game to play out. You don't just look at a cartoon and say it's completely unrealistic. I mean, mice don't talk, they don't speak English, and they don't wear hats, and I don't buy into this. I don't want to see this stupid film anymore. But instead you sort of buy the rules of the game a little bit. So you buy them, you sort of take on board the laws of that universe. So in the same way, I want to take on the laws of the universe of the system of the chakras in order to understand it. And then after that, I can decide what I want to do with it. I can like pick the cherries and leave the rest, or I can do whatever I want. Like, I personally like to take many of these different systems and sort of put them on top of each other and see where they overlap. It's my favorite hobby. But yes, so when I'm in this very benevolent and open way, I want to approach the system of the chakras and understand what they mean. I have also read that the chakras correspond to certain, like if you can have, these chakras can be in balance or they cannot be in balance. Or like if the vortex is flowing, the energy is flowing in a certain way, then that can be disrupted. And that can, things can happen in the chakras, I've understood. And you can deal with that by lots of different ways, like by listening to particular sounds, by saying things, by healing, going to a healer, or like working psychologically. And you can see how these sort of the energy changes. And the goal, of course, is to have a balanced flow where it's not too much and not too little, because then you get stuck. So that's sort of where I'm at. And yes, yeah, I'm still full of questions, but I'm approaching this with open arms. So
Shall I dive in there, because
yeah.
there's a lot of valuable information that you said. But it's beautiful to hear the way your mind works. I mean, I know you personally already, but as from a philosopher's point of view, that you're so open to wanting to learn the system and see if you can take something from it. And I always say to people, also take what you need and leave what you don't, but try to practice it. Try, give it a try. And because it's so non-verbal, actually, it's about experiencing and having certain sensations or the lack of having them. And then you can figure out for yourself how it resonates, and if it resonates, and what you can take from it. But to go back to the chakra system itself, for the people listening and tuning into this, for a healer to work with the subtle body, that doesn't mean the subtle body is a field that we have around us, in which you can sense energy from someone. So there's more than just a physical body, but around us, like 30 centimeters, half a meter or something, or 50 centimeters, very close by. Yes, you can.
This is all me.
That's all you. That's besides corona. Actually, it's very good that we need to keep a certain distance and not be too close to someone. But before I pile too many topics on top of this one, let's stick to the chakras for now. So within the subtle body, the astral body specifically, you have the 7-part chakra system. And if you look at them, they're located from the spine up to the crown, to the top of the head. And for a healer to work with it, and to even teach, if you're in the line of teaching, in the business of teaching as well. I also teach people, so I'm not just a practitioner, but I teach people. And if I teach people, then I'd love to teach people how they can take care of themselves in terms of the astral body, the subtle body. And what I then want to teach them, no, what I first want to make them acquainted to, is that with the chakras, if you start with the base chakra, so at the bottom of the spine, or with females, in between the ovaries in the body, you were right. It is a sort of energy vortex. It swirls. It's like a cylinder, and there's a swirl. And it shouldn't be too open, nor should it be too closed. So you're right, your energy can get interrupted. In all these different chakras, it could happen, but it can also come from the inside, that something happens to you, which I will get into how that works in a minute. But something can happen to you that gives you an internal shock, or something by which you shift and that you shut down, for instance. And that has to do more with thoughts or memories or feelings, but I will explain a bit more in a minute. But first of all, for people to know, chakras are located from the root to the spine, and they come in 7 different colors. And they all, how do you say, they all comprehend a certain, no, not comprehend. They all contain actually certain themes for a person that they could work with if they use this system. So to say briefly, the root chakra, it has a red color. It is about your basis, like your life environment, your safety, your home, literally your basis. So where you are rooted, and are you rooted where you are? Because you are supposed to be rooted where you are and where you live. And that's a very important thing. And those are things that when you start to learn with this, work with this system, how important it is that they all need to be balanced. Because, for instance, if you don't feel safe where you are or where you live, especially if that place is supposed to be your safe haven, like your home, or a safe work environment, somewhere where you are daily for many hours, it's supposed to feel safe. Because if not, all that would happen is that you would resort to survival skills. You would frantically try to seek safety. So it is necessary for us to feel safe on a daily basis. And the root chakra, the base chakra, is all about that. And if that base chakra is too closed, that means you are seeking safety. So just a quick reference, look at people, for instance, with severe PTSS, or the people that have to leave the war zone and have to leave their countries in the most horrific ways. They probably will not feel rooted for a very long time because they have to re-establish their base. Yet the base chakra will help, but obviously it would take years for those people to resettle and to find people that would be safe to them. So that is something how you can see with people when PTSS would be a theme or something that they cope with, that you would have to work with first. And for a healer, you can stimulate that base chakra, that root chakra, and a psychologist would work on seeking safety with thoughts and feelings and finding new ground, literally, and all sorts of ways. Does that make any sense? Just if I say this already.
It does. Yeah? Because when you were talking, I was thinking the colors. You said they come in 7 different colors, and I figured, where do they? I mean, do they all? I mean, can we? Where do the colors come from? And so you say that they come in different colors, but is this a symbolic, metaphorical sense that they come in colors, so that red will mean something in particular? Or, for example, will you use this color in your healing therapy? Or do you see what I'm saying? So I'm asking, like, how does that connect? And then I also thought, yes, so when something happens in the area that corresponds to your root chakra, the safety, the survival mode kind of thing, then that will somehow disrupt this root base chakra, and it will be either too closed or too open. Is this?
Yes, right? That's definitely the case. Yes, and if it would be too open, for instance, you would only feel despair. So on both ends of the spectrum, they come with different set of emotions that you tend to resort to because and you feel lost. You know, there are many emotions that go with the not functioning of the root chakra, or certain emotions that you can't feel anymore. And I don't know exactly the origin of the colors, where it stems from. What I do know is that there's a vibration in the colors that is the same as with the sounds that you mentioned earlier. There are sounds corresponding on getting the chakras more active. So for another session with you, I will dive into the specific origin, so I can elaborate more about that. But what I can say for now is a bit more about the themes. So for instance, with if you were to go up, so I can mention the colors just as they are now, and then next time I will let you know more about where they originally come from. But so the root chakra is red, and the second chakra, which is 2 fingers below the belly button, it's orange. And you asked me, well, what I can say is about, do you work with the colors in your session? It actually depends. Because for me, it's more about what I feel and what I don't feel, and where energy would need to be stimulated. But if I sense the color is necessary to mention, or if I sense it is necessary for someone to visualize the color, because I would feel that it would enforce a treatment, then I would say it. I mean, with a teaching, I would say more about it, but with the treatment, I sense, okay, what is needed for this session? And then sometimes it can be more imagery, and sometimes it can be more about the sensing in terms of the sensations. So that would depend entirely.
Yes, right. So so each has a color, and it starts with red. I'm thinking of sort of what other systems have colors. So and what?
Oh, yes, and they don't all need to be. It's not per se that all systems have the colors in the same relation as with the chakras, because it can be that another system or with the Enneagram or whatever works with colors, that they use it in a different way, and that you're like, yeah, but chisel, I just learned about these colors with the chakras. Now it's totally different. So
Yeah.
it's that they all use the same colors in the same way.
Yeah, that is it. If everybody used the colors in the same way, that would have made it easier to understand. But I was thinking of, for example, there's this feng shui, the ancient Chinese way of interior decoration, and it also has a system of. I was really into this maybe 10 years ago. There's also a system of the colors go in a certain, like you should put them in certain parts of your house and things like that, and all colors are represented. So it's very fascinating to see that there's still the common ground there is, of course, that in order to reach balance you should have a little bit of everything.
Yes. How I approach this is that I look at it same as with languages. There are many languages very similar, and they're all about communication. And then you still have different language systems or ways. And that even if you wouldn't know the language, you could listen to that language, and you could never learn it by just listening. So that's unfortunately the same with this. So some systems, they do take from each other and they exchange, or they exchange, but on the other hand, there are also systems, and then you're like, okay, I cannot make sense, or I cannot relate it to one another because it's just an entirely different system, and it's just used differently. Yeah, but feng shui, that's also interesting. Yeah, you have to tell me more about that another time. Yeah. But if you look at it, so do we have a bit time to talk a bit more about the chakras or not?
We do. We have a few more minutes, 2-3 minutes.
Okay, so for another example, and then I want to give it back to you, make a little bridge to you as a philosopher. Let's say the heart chakra. The heart chakra is the fourth chakra. That's in between the chest. It has the color green. Green stands for a certain calmness and a comfort that it provides. Yes. Oh, yes. You're wearing green. Yes, and it suits you. And but the heart chakra, it's the heart chakra is actually also a lot about self-esteem. And the heart chakra is not only about being loving and open, but the heart chakra is also about giving love to yourself. And again, to look at the chakras, and also for other people that provide, how do you say, support for clients that would come to me. Someone could come to me and say, oh, I feel so closed or stressed, or I have low self-esteem. I could give them a treatment. And for instance, if it would occur that the heart chakra would be very closed off or too open because they're just giving away all their energy and they're not saving anything for themselves, then there's also a problem, because then it would be like, okay, why do you give everything away, and why is there nothing left for you? And then you could also say, well, not as direct as I'm going to do it now, but just for the sake of this conversation, you could see at least, oh, this person would need a psychologist, or maybe wants to ponder their topic with a philosopher, So I would say, hey, there's this client of mine, and they would need more than treatment, or just the approach of the subtle body. And it would even be great if I could refer someone to you and could say, like, hey, Miriam, they need counseling, and how could you help me? And then I could tell you they're suffering from a low self-esteem, and what would you, for instance, then do with that?
What would I do with the low self-esteem?
What would you do with a low self-esteem?
That was the orange part.
Then the heart, that's
that was the heart.
So that's the green. But if you let the color aside, if I would say there's this client, how would you in a counseling session then, as a philosopher, look at low self-esteem? What would you do with that?
I would probably start like I always do as a philosopher. I would ask the person to define is the
Well,
what they want
okay.
to talk about. So what is self-esteem and how does it feel when you have self-esteem?
Yeah.
And then we would talk about how to feel like that. We would take it from there. But we would start with defining, and then we would work with the words and questions. Yeah, that would be. Or I might even, like, after now, I might say something like, would you like to do would you like to play around with suspension of disbelief? And we'll do a thought experiment now, and see what happens if we relate this to the chakra systems of your body or something like that. I would have to study it a little bit more, maybe, but yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, or you can work together, and then you get this holistic approach, and that's what I love about being in the same type of business, but on the other hand, completely other type of business. But that they well, they cross path, and you could work together, and you could yeah, you could manifest a holistic, as I say, a holistic treatment, or you can keep it separate. But to end this one, I would always, if I sense someone would need counseling or therapy, maybe, I would never approach it for myself like, okay, I gave you a treatment, now your problem is solved. I would always see and look, how can I maybe fiddle something in there, like either give a suggestion, or I would, if that would be too much, I would feel like, okay, I'm just going to say, well, I'm a healer, I'm not a curer, I don't cure, and this is not therapy. I would always say that claim, this is not therapy, and it's not instead of therapy. So it's always additional, and it's about personal development.
Yeah.
So
that's what we also say, we philosophers, it's not therapy. It's not therapy,
yeah.
but it can have therapeutic effect. That's what
Definitely.
we say. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's I mean, our goal is the same in our lines of business. It's the flourishing person, the person who has developed,
that they can grow in their personal development, and they understand themselves better. So
and that they have a sense of social engagement, the healthy sense of social engagement, healthy sense of self, and in connection to other people. Yeah, the flourishing person. That's what we both want. It's it's just it's I love how it's just I mean, what we're doing now in this discussion is sort of deciphering what it means to be a person. So we have the invisible subtle body, and then we have the narrative and the words that we use, and how we think, like what words we use when we think. And an important part of our work is to help assist in interpretation, I feel.
And also I posted a quote recently by someone I really admire, and she said something, there is nothing more amazing than watching a human coming into being, developing into themselves, I would say, now between you and me, and we both use a completely different way, but they're all about that. We share that passion, you and I. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
It is.
Well, thank you for this. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Again, yet again.
Yeah, lovely. Lovely.
Yes.